Hey Adam, do you want to go find some babies and smash them on rocks tonight?
Smashing pumpkins, smashing babies. Well, depends if it's a blessing.
Well, let's read Psalm 137 and see what it says.
Rockabye baby, here on Bible Walkthrough.
Hi, welcome to Bible Walkthrough. My name is Wes Warner,
I'm Adam Ayers.
and we're going to look at Psalm 137 and see what it says about smashing babies
On
the rocks. O daughter Babylon, soon to be devastated. How blessed will be the one who repays you for what you dished out to us. How blessed will be the one who grabs your babies and smashes them on a rock. That is pretty problematic, troubling, and scary. I can understand why people would have a problem with this when they read it. However, I think there's a bigger context to it that we need to take a look at. Professor.
Dude.
Yeah.
Although we were joking at the beginning, this is a very offensive psalm. It's phenomenally violent. It goes against the grain of pretty much everything that the Bible teaches about how to treat people.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of the innocence of a baby, and someone literally smashing a baby on a rock is just a heinous image. And this is sort of our joking around about it is very much a gallows humor, and in some ways I think we have to do that to be able to just negotiate how horrific these images are. I believe that when you look at the psalm as a whole, and this psalm, a lot of people have problems with this psalm, and reasonably so, because it does say, "Blessed are the ones who will smash the babies against the rock." When you look at the whole psalm, it gives a little bit more context for what's being said. I really find that the macabre aspect is not in verse 9, where it says, "Happy is the one who or blessed is the one who dashes your little ones against the rock." The macabre aspect really enters all the way up in verses 1 through 3. Maybe we could read those. Although people focus in on these last verses are part of a much larger text that gives some insight into what's going on. So if you don't mind, I'll read this. It says, "By the rivers of Babylon." You have to remember that Babylon was the destroyer of Jerusalem on multiple occasions, but in 587-86, Nebuchadnezzar wipes out Jerusalem, and it is horrific destruction. "By the rivers of Babylon, there we sat, and there we wept, when we remembered Zion," when they remembered Jerusalem. "On the willows there we hung our harps." And note, it says next, "For there our captors asked us for songs, and our tormentors asked for mirth." Now, another way to translate this, of course, is for tormentors is mockers. "Our tormentors asked for mirth, saying, 'Sing us one of the songs of Zion.'" Now, this is a horrific picture. You've taken someone's city, the Babylonians have taken someone's home city, starved it out for 18 months, then entered it, slaughtered the people, burnt everything dear to them, taken the people captive, marched them all the way across the Fertile Crescent to Babylon, held them captive, sat them down by the river of Babylon, and then said, "So sing us a happy song." Come on. This is, and pardon the rawness, but it's the equivalent. This is the equivalent of a prison guard at Dachau saying to someone, one of the Jews there, just like one of the Jews here, there in the concentration camp, "So sing us a Hanukkah song. Can you do us a Hanukkah dance?" Sitting there with the machine gun saying, "Hey, so do a Hanukkah song for us. Do a little Hanukkah dance. Maybe you have a Purim thing you can do?" And the mockery there is phenomenally offensive. Here you've wiped out their family, you've wiped out their nation, you've starved them, tortured them, captured them, marched them over to another prison place, and you say, "So sing us one of your happy Jewish songs." And so the psalmist here says, how could we sing the Lord's song in a foreign land? If I forget you, O Jerusalem, let my hand wither. Let my tongue cling to the roof of my mouth if I don't remember you. If I don't set Jerusalem above my highest joy. And then they do sing their song. Remember the Edomites who said, destroy it, destroy it. Remember them. And they launch into a song. Okay, you want a song? O daughter Babylon, you devastator. Happy's the one who treats you like you treated us. There's your happy song. That's when I'll be happy. I'll be happy when you're not sitting there with the machine gun and we're all starving to death and you're saying, dance for me. So we have to understand that the horror of this is not so much in the dashing the baby against the stone, which is the horror. The horror is everything that's come before that. That here is someone who is a prisoner who is so pressed down, and right when they're breaking, the tormentor, the guard, pokes at them and says, come on, sing us a happy song of Zion that we burned down and we killed all your people. So, come on, march, play for us. And this person, the psalmist, is overwhelmed. I'm thinking maybe the psalmist is remembering his own children. And this guard, this captor, is saying, sing us a birthday song that you sang to your kids, before we killed them. He goes, I'll sing you a happy song. And you remember there's probably a language gap here too. So the psalmist composing in Hebrew, although the Akkadian or the Babylonian would be speaking a cognate dialect, probably wouldn't know very easily. And you can just imagine the psalmist going, okay, I'll sing you my happy song. My happy song is death and destruction to you. Do you like that song? Mocker. That's really the feeling of the psalm. And I think it's preserved really in the same way that a Holocaust memorial is preserved. So this is a memorial to the destruction and the mockery of the people who took Jerusalem captive and killed all the people there. And I think we should, rather than turn up our noses in indignation, ask ourselves, what would we say if somebody slaughtered our families in front of our eyes and then told us to sing their birthday songs? If someone, God forbid, if someone had tortured to death your spouse and then told you, would you read me one of the love poems that you wrote to your wife? You'd be overwhelmed. And we need to have compassion with the psalmist. It is supposed to invoke horror. It's supposed to invoke horror because the situation was horrific. Mm-hmm. And really, that's kind of the trick. It probably wasn't fair, but it was part of the trick of the opening for this episode, is to hear somebody joking about dashing babies on rocks is horrific, and it brings indignation. And that's the kind of effect that someone, a captor, mocking and saying, hey, sing me a happy song, brings out. That these two things should never go together. The happy songs and captivity, the happy songs and the destruction of Jerusalem, and the poking at you by this captor. So in the same way that the joking at the beginning about dashing babies on rocks is absolutely inappropriate. And hopefully the viewers will understand that it's inappropriate. So, and they should feel the same thing that someone being asked to sing a happy song in the middle of a destruction and captivity was feeling. That, how could you say that? How could you say that? And that's really what we're trying to do here. Get you to feel that same thing. That's partly a missiological hermeneutic. And I think it's supposed to call up that there are some things that are so terrible that the mind should recoil from them. Mm-hmm. It's supposed to be repulsion and horror, that the macabre imagery. It's supposed to take you to a place of repulsion at what happened to Jerusalem, and this psalmist is just letting go. Do the same thing to them. Mm-hmm. It's insult to injury.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty traumatic.
Deeply.
Yeah, it's deeply traumatic. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Let's make sure that we not render judgment on other people's outbursts during their grief. It's very easy for people today to render judgment on this text and say, how dare someone write that? But we haven't experienced the horror that these people experienced. And the things that, the artistic expressions that burst out of people in the middle of that kind of grief, we need to respect and say, you have a right to let your mouth run off in that kind of grief when your family's been ripped from you and someone's mocking you. You can lash out. It's a testimony to the human condition. Mm-hmm. So, even though we were joking at the beginning at the intro, I think a moment of silence for people's horror is fitting. Thank you for tuning in to Bible Walkthrough.